Hi there. I just got done painting a painting about Frosty the Snowman, and you'll see it right here as I talk. So I wanted to tell you a story about the man who played the voice, or the voice actor, of Frosty the Snowman. Frosty the Snowman came out on this date, December the 7th, 1969. That was 54 or 57 years ago. And on this day, Frosty the Snowman came alive. And there's kind of a sad story to the actor who played Frosty. So the actor who played Frosty, his real name was Ralph Verone, and his stage name was Jackie Vernon. Jackie Vernon, that's what we're going to call him, was born March 29th, 1924. In the early 50s, he started doing comedy acts, and he was traveling all over the northern part of the United States. He was born in New York City, and he would sometimes do his comedy routines at a strip club or hotel lobbies. Or hotel lounges, that is. So he traveled around, and he really wasn't making any headway with it, and he was thinking about just quitting. And one night he was in Ontario, Canada, and he was at a hotel lounge. Steve Allen spotted him and really enjoyed him. So Jackie Vernon's way of doing comedy was straight-faced, and he would try to tell jokes. On the night that Steve Allen met him, he was talking about, he was just stone-faced like this, not even smiling, and then he says, "It's hard to believe that at one time I was a dull guy." and he was dull when he was saying it. So he always had this straight face, and something about him made people laugh. So he continued doing, the same routines, and Steve Allen was the first person who did The Tonight Show. So he was the first host of The Tonight Show, and at times Jackie Vernon would be on The Tonight Show. Jackie Vernon was also on The Merv Griffin Show. He'd open up for Dean Martin, so him and Dean Martin were good friends, and he opened up for Judy Garland. So he was on these stages with these other actors during comedy skits, and then he got involved in the Dean Martin roasts of other comedians and actors, and that's where he really became well known. So later after this, he decided, 1969, Frosty the Snowman, the production company, which was Rankin Bass Productions. I hope I got that right. If I didn't, I'm sorry. You can tell me if I didn't. But anyways, he auditioned for Frosty the Snowman, and after several people auditioned, they thought that Jackie Vernon's voice was the best voice for Frosty. They wanted someone who was nice and cozy, easy for the kids to talk to, very happy, and, think of Frosty the Snowman as you just want to hug Frosty. And that's how his voice came out. So Frosty the Snowman was born. Throughout his career, he really engaged in doing his comedy and Frosty the Snowman to where his family would be left behind. His first wife and children, he left them, abandoned them is what the article said. Then he had 2 other families, a wife and kids. The weird thing about the story is there's really no family history. It's just that he was married 3 times, abandoned 3 families. Then he met his wife, Hazel Sawyer, in 1958, and they got married and they had 3 kids. He had 3 kids named David, Lisa, and Tracy. So he had 1 boy and 2 girls. And David is the one that broke this story to MSN about his dad having 3 other families that he abandoned until he was with this family, until he met Hazel. And Hazel was his last family, and those 3 kids weren't abandoned. So I don't know if it's portrayed that he is just a weird man that left his families. And, did he get divorced? Did he divorce any of these people? Or did he just abandon them or get a divorce and then abandon them? Nobody knows. But the main thing about this story is, everybody is human. And David, the son of Jackie, said that his dad reminded him of a sad clown. And maybe throughout all of his years, he was just that sad clown in all of his comedy skits. He did talk about not having friends, about how his rocking horse died on him. He did a skit about a watermelon as a pet. So I'm thinking that his life as a boy probably wasn't all that great, and there's I really didn't see any history of his past. And Wiki, and you know how Wiki is wrote by other people. It only shows a history of him and his wife and his kids. One of the things he did at a show was he acted like he had a slideshow, and he had the little clicker, and he talked about being on vacation and how unpopular he was, and he went on vacation by himself. So it says, click. Here I am tossing coins at a toll booth. Click. Here I am under the car looking for the coins. Click. Here I am picking up a hitchhiker. Click. Here is the hitchhiker holding me up. Click. Here I am hitchhiking. Click. Here's the hitchhiker picking me up in my own car. Luckily, he didn't recognize me. Everybody cracked up laughing. I even thought that was funny. How great is that the hitchhiker picks him up in his own car and doesn't even realize that he just robbed him. So yeah, Dean Martin ended up being a great friend of his. He also was in the Air Force for a little bit of time before he became a comedian. So thank you for all you did, sir, even though you're passed away. And, you know, you just have to think about mental health. So I hope that Mr. Verone, I hope that he ended up happy before he passed away. He passed away as a 63-year-old of, unfortunately, a heart attack. And maybe it was from all those cigarettes Dean Martin was smoking as they were doing the comedy acts and the roast of different characters and actors. So he died in 1987. He was 63 years old. His wife lived about 20 years longer than him. So anyways, on his obituary, it just said that he had 3 kids and a stepson. And I'm thinking that's only his last family. The other kids weren't even noted in his obituary. And the funny thing is, and I wish I would have said this earlier, the 4th wife was home, and maybe I did. So I'm editing the video and I realized that I didn't tell the story that I thought I told. So the 4th wife, Miss Hazel, was home with her son David at their house. And this woman knocks on the door. And David is the one that answered the door. And he was probably 12 years old. And the woman said, "I need to talk to your dad." And David said, "Well, he's not here. He's on the road. But my mom is here." So he goes and gets his mom. And mom comes down to talk to the woman. And the woman is Jackie's first wife. And she has with him like an 18-year-old boy, which is his son. And the woman proceeds to tell Miss Hazel that we're Jackie's wife and child. So Hazel found out about this and didn't even know it. And that's how they found out about the first family. And I'm sure Hazel did a little investigating and found out about the rest of them, because maybe Jackie told her after that. That was a story about Frosty the Snowman. It was poorly told because I had like all these little pieces of paper and I was trying to get it all together. And we just kind of got busy today, so I didn't have time to practice. And anyways, I couldn't put everything down on paper so that I can practice what I was going to say. So I kind of just highlighted some things, and I really liked it. Another thing that I didn't talk about was Charlie Chaplin was his hero. When he started comedy, he'd write Charlie Chaplin every day, and he never got an answer. And one day, after he got really popular and very famous, he was in Las Vegas, and they said, "Hey, Charlie Chaplin is in the audience." So he went up to Charlie's table, and he says, "Hi, I'm Jackie." And Charlie Chaplin stopped him and said, "Jackie Vernon, yes, yes. Why did you stop writing me?" So all this time, Charlie Chaplin was reading his letters, but never wrote him back. Just think, if his hero would have wrote him back, do you think maybe his life would have changed? Never know. So keep your eyes open for people who probably need a little bit of, "Hey, you're doing a good job." Keep an eye out for those that need lifted up, because this guy evidently didn't. And like his son said, he was a sad clown. So he's a funny man who was sad. And that's sad. It's really sad. And what's sad is that, you know, he abandoned his other 2 or 3 families. But at least in the end, he had a family and he had kids and he was a dad and he died a comedian. So anyways, Frosty the Snowman, just a little story about his life and a little painting of him and Frosty together in my art journal. I'll talk to you later. Bye.